Thanks for the question, mate. Look, we've been licking our wounds and we're smarting from our recent form, and we know that that's created a lot of commentary as to reasons why. We haven't been sitting on our hands. We're trying to find solutions that are going to work for us. And this week we sort of realised that in the end, when there are so many things that you feel that you can fix, you go back to what you know. So the connection with us as a group is important. We've tipped time into that, and we've reschooled our defensive shape. So that is largely where our focus has been, and where we hope to effectively get the game on our terms from that phase of the game. So it hasn't been consistent enough this year. It's been a strong point of ours over a number of years, but that was then, this is now, and we really we need to improve our defensive actions and give ourselves a chance to play the game in our front half.
Does that mean Darcy's going to go back to playing defence?
Look, we've discussed that, and he will go back. The last 3 weeks, that trial or to have a look at that has given us some information, not all of it the type of information we were looking for in a positive sense. But look, Darcy is one member of our team. He's not the be-all and end-all. He's a very good footballer. He's obviously played some exceptional football behind the ball. We've seen breakout performances in losing teams by Darcy Cameron and Brodie Myercheck over the last 2 weeks, and we think that Darcy's presence has assisted in that regard. But with a defensive focus for us, once we stripped that back, it was really clear that Darcy behind the ball makes us a better defensive team. So we've made that call.
Buckley, the slowest team for ball movement last year, and you've stepped it up a bit this season. Will we see that they revert back to that style from this week, or are you still happy with the way the changes you've made over the off-season in that regard?
Oh, look, we're not happy with the changes that we've made, and they haven't brought us greater offensive efficiency, which is what we were looking for. So, but as I said after the game last week, we've probably taken our eye off the ball of our DNA in that regard, and we've been too easy to move the ball against, and that's where our focus. But I think there's always a misnomer. We want things to be black and white. I think you'll find that the better we defend, the better our offence is, and not the other way around. So we believe if we look after the first, then the latter will come.
Max, how big a challenge would it be, I guess, particularly with the young players, keeping the morale up within the group, given chips are down?
Yeah, well, to be honest, the young boys are the least of our problems. They're still pinching themselves that they're an AFL club and with the opportunity to be involved in an AFL system. So. They're not getting this, as I said after the game, they're not getting the type of support that is, they are in an internal sense and in a personal sense, but on field, we can provide a better structure for them to leverage off and perform and show us what they've got more often. We've seen some of those boys come up and perform quite well, and we think that can only improve when we play better team footy.
So how do you see your players handle it if there's not
Oh, look, they're disappointed. Walking in after a loss is not an easy thing to do, and we know our faithful are disappointed. And there's been plenty of things speculated on over the last 2 or 3 weeks, reasons why. Like, we're all looking for answers, or externally there's people looking for answers, but ultimately. We come back as a group. We're looking after one another. This is not an easy caper, and we've been on the wrong end of results over the last 5 weeks. So the only answer is to work hard, to come back to each other, to try and find some light and shade in your week and in your environment. And we control what happens in our 4 walls. We can't control what happens outside of that. So we understand that. the product that we're seeing externally is largely regarding our win-loss ratio. And there's a quick way to fix that. That's to play better footy, and so that's where our focus has been.
Does North Melbourne present a unique challenge this week because they haven't won a game this season? They might see you guys as someone they can notch up a win against. The mental side, does it create any challenges for you?
Oh no! Once again, that's an external storyline thread that is largely irrelevant, and I'll leave you guys to go to wherever you need to go with that. Every AFL side has got their strengths and weaknesses. We get analysed the same way as any other side, so we need to look after our own backyard though. So that's where our focus is.
There was a report surrounding Jordan Goey receiving a pretty strong talking to by some of the senior players. Where do you see Jordan's format at the moment?
Well, Geordie was knocked out in round 5, missed a game of concussion, another game of concussion. So, and then had one game back last week. So, there's been a lot of commentary around that, and once again it's another narrative and storyline that's taken place. What I would say is that a lot of it is inaccurate, but our trying to put out every little fire that's happening out at the moment is not where our focus is. We support Geordie absolutely. He's a young man who is trying and endeavouring to contribute to the club as best he possibly can, and he's one of 45 other young men that are trying to do the same in a playing sense, and a staff that are extended from that. Whatever we do, win, lose or draw, we'll do it together, and we won't carve anyone away. So feeding into that narrative is not something I plan to do.
Does he maybe take on some more responsibility now in the forward line this week, given Darcy goes back and maybe takes on a bit more of a central role in also?
No, we'll share that load across the board.
Nathan, did the senior players, or how did you guys get to going back to some of the older things from other seasons? Was the guys coming in saying, can we do a bit last year? Was it you guys reviewing? How'd you sort of get to that?
I think it becomes mounting evidence that against the things that you've been focusing on, the things that we're trying to do, our inability to find that real energy in our playing group. So that's on match day in particular. So that's the leaders are key in that. The coaching staff is key in that, and results are a fair indication of whether you need change or not.
Coming up against Jaden Stevenson for the first time, does he come into your planning at all, or do you not really think about him?
No, I understand there's an article out today, and once again another narrative that is external to what we need to do. We're not playing Steve-O, we're playing North Melbourne, so that's the focus we're taking in.
But you've obviously been around not only the footy table but the media table as well. You're well aware of sort of the narrative that gets put out. Is there, the doomsday scenario and what could happen if there is things don't go, don't get things right on the weekend? Does that potentially come in your thoughts that it might force the club's hand into terms of timeline bringing forward or anything like that? Is that in your...
No, we've been really clear, and no one's opinion externally is going to change that.
Bucks, has it been a distraction though? We've spoken a lot about the external noise. Has it become a distraction, and if not, when does it?
What I would say, and I'd reiterate, is we're not robots. We're full of imperfect humans in this place, and we're not infallible. We're not bulletproof. And we feel like everyone else. So when things aren't going well, what I find with our crew is that they take a lot of responsibility on themselves before they'll put it on someone else. And it's sort of, I suppose, half of the coaching challenge and the leadership challenge is to assist individuals out of that mindset, because there's no use dwelling on something that you can no longer control or something that has already gone. You really need to bring your focus into the present and into the possibility. So yes, it does have an impact, there's no doubt about it, but that you can have positive momentum just the same as you can have negative momentum. So our challenge is to come back to the things that we can control. There's plenty we can't, but there's plenty we can. We've been endeavouring to do that. We haven't clearly been able to control enough of the things in our power, but every week provides an opportunity for us. So we're not thinking about the worst case scenario. We're thinking about how do we turn this around. When we go out in the track, we're thinking about how can we prepare to perform and execute our best football. And then we want to build from that. So this opportunity for us is gold. We're looking forward to Saturday afternoon.
Who helps you then? You talk about trying to lift the group.
Yeah.
Who helps you?
Oh, everyone internally. And I think, look, you don't win every game, and clearly we would like to have won more than we've won this year. The 1-6 ratio is not what we had planned for. It's not what we'd envisioned. But so even winning and losing games of football is a product of what you put forward. So I get great support from people in the organisation, from within the playing group and in the staff, and I think there's what you may picture the environment to be is probably a long way away from what it actually is. There is challenge for the professional, but there's great support for the individual, and there's a lot of care that is still part of the environment, which is important to have people feel like they're valued and respected and trusted to go and do their jobs. We've got to build that on field, on match day in particular, but the fundamentals of how we interact as an organisation internally have remained the same.
Some focus has been on the negative, on results of what could happen on Saturday. What are the potential positives of locking a win away?
Once again, something that we will deal with on the flip side. It's the winning and losing. The scoreboard itself is a product of all of the actions that go into that in that 2-hour period. So we've got plenty that we're in control of, and got an opposition that are intending to come out and control their elements and best us on the day as well. So we've been on the wrong end of it, and there's just stuff that we need to get done. And as I said, largely around the defensive elements of the game. Obviously, contest is important in our work rate, and the rest will fall into place. It takes an intent, and we have a really strong intent about what we plan to roll out on Saturday.
Howie was out there sort of in a few of the drills. How far away is he?
He's bleeding that he hasn't been given the green light for this week, but he'll have another week of solid prep. He's shy in terms of workload and hasn't done any volume as such. So I think he's really happy with how he's come along, and so are we, and he should be right next week.
Will Levi or Cox get a look in for this week, or do they need more time?
We'll have a look. Levi didn't train today, and Coxie missed last week and was back up and about. So they're still working towards their next opportunity.
Bucks, it was reported last night, I'm pretty classified that in a couple of weeks you might have a few changes to your football department. Can you share any clarity on that at all?
I've got no idea on what that might be.
Thank you.
Cheers.